Hello guys, welcome to today's class. I hope you are doing well from wherever you are. So today we shall look on revision part of mainly two subtopic, that is appreciations and depreciations together with compound interest. So today we shall mainly be tackling our revision part. So, without wasting much time, let us get into those questions. So, question 1, I'll first of all read the whole question, then we shall tackle it together. In January 2000, Otieno deposited 234,000 shillings in a bank, whose interests are compounded quarterly at a rate of 7.6% per annum. During which year did this amount in the bank first double? During which year did this amount in the bank first double? So guys, if I were you, I would have underlined the key terms that the examiner has used there. But without that, again, let's just continue. So in January 2000, let's analyze the question. In January 2000, Otieno deposited. Now, what has been deposited? That is our principal. Otieno deposited 234,000 shillings in a bank whose interests are compounded quarterly. These are the main terms, quarterly. Remember, we talked about something there in those previous videos, quarterly, semi-annually. So rate has been given as 7.6% per annum. During which year? They want us to get year or n. During which year did his amount in the bank first double? Now, which amount did Otieno deposited? 234,000. But we are being told that this amount doubled. So you take 234,000, you multiply by 2 to get 468,000. So guys, having this information, we can continue by having amount equals to principal into 1 plus r over 100 power what guys? Power n. So our amount, instead of now having amounts, let's have the real figure. So 468,000 equals to our principal, which was 234,000 into bracket 1 plus rate. Rate was 7.6 guys per annum, all over 100 multiplied by what? 100 multiplied by what? Remember, it was compounded quarterly. So we treat the denominator as a whole number. So you multiply by 4. Then they want us to get the number of years. So we take n times 4, which is the same as 4n. Alright guys. So let's simplify out. So divide by 234,000. Divide by 234,000. So this cancels this. This cancels this. How many times, guys? 2. So we have 2 equals to, then work out the sum in the bracket. So in bracket we have 1.019 power 4n. Now, I don't want you to be that type of a student who, after working so hard, misses a mark just because of this part. So most of the students whom actually don't do more revision, you will see them having something like this. They are getting the phonenth root of that answer. So, well, this will cancel this, but now what about this other side? What about this other side? How will such a student solve this other part? So there is no approach in getting such answer using that procedure. That is very much wrong. So having 4n, there is only one way you can solve this question, and those we learned in those previous lessons, which was the topic for the logarithm, if you can remember. So that's where we apply this. So introduce logs on both sides. Introduce log on both sides. So we have log 2 equals to log 1.019 power 4n. Then if I can remember very well, there's a law at number 3 which I gave you, whereby a log b equals to log b power a. I remember giving you such law in number 3 there. So we shall apply this law to solve out the right hand side part. So now we have log 2 equal to 4n log 1.019. So we want the value of 4n. So we simplify out log 1.019 divided by log 1.019. So this cancels out this. Now I have my calculator. I hope you have yours. So let's simplify log 2 divided by log 1.019. So we get 36.82691697 equals to 4n. We want the value of n. Divided by 4. Divide by 4. So what is our n, guys? N is 9.206.729.421. But remember the question asked, during which year? So most of the student, and before I say something again, have you ever seen a number of years as 9 point something like this? Like 9.2 years, 9.45 years, something like that doesn't exist. And that is why sometimes I tell you that mathematics is always a reality. You have to deal with something reality. So having this n, we can approximate it to something like 9 years. That's the duration, the period. But the question asks, during which year? Was it 2011? Was it 2012? Was it 2013? So that is that. So which year was the amount first deposited in the account? That was January 2000. So January 2000, add 9 years. So January 2000, add 9 years. So what will be our answer, guys? January 2009. All right. Thank you for that. Let's move to another question. The question reads, a generator cost 32,000 shillings when new. At the end of the first year, its value will have depreciated by 15%. Its depreciation in the second year is 12%. Thereafter, the rate of depreciation is 10% yearly. Calculate the value of the generator at the end of the fifth year. At the end of the fifth year. There are always some key terms when it comes to solving question under compound interest. We have something like start of, beginning of, end of. Make sure you understand those parts. So let's analyze the question together. A generator costs 32,000 shillings when new. So that one will act as our principal. That one will act as our principal. At the end of the first year, its value will have depreciated by 15%. Remember, it is depreciating. So do not forget to change the symbol to be negative. Remember, it is depreciation. So it's depreciating. So in the first year, it's depreciated by 15%. Its depreciation in the second year is 12%. Second year is 12%. Thereafter, the rate of depreciation is 10% yearly. So after the second year, we don't know how many years are there. We don't know how many years are there. But after the second year, the rate of depreciation is 10% yearly. Calculate the value of the generator at the end of the fifth year. End of the fifth year. So let's start to. So what's the formula we apply here? Amount equals to principal into 1 minus r over 100 power n. They want the value, so the value refers to amount also. So what's our principal? 32,000. 32,000. So amount equals to 32,000 into 1 minus. Now remember, there's something I told you about R1, R2, R3. So this is where we shall apply that formulae, this part. So in the first year, it depreciated by 15%. So that is 15 all over 100. That's the first year. Coming to second year, it depreciated by 12%. So that is 12 all over 100. Then for the rest of the years, for the rest of the remaining years, and the total number of years that were there was 5, because you are being told end of the fifth year. So those are total of 5 years. If it were beginning of the fifth year, then it is a total of 4 years. So you must know how to play with the terms. End of, start of. So make sure you think there before you tackle various parts of the question. Then, if we have first year and second year covered, how many years are remaining? If we have a total of 5 years, 3 years are remaining. So we have there 3. We have there 3. So guys, press that in your calculator. I also have mine, so let's do it together. 32,000 into 1 minus 15 over 100, 1 minus 12 over 100, 1 minus 10 all over 100, then answer cubed or powered to 3. So we shall have our answer as 17,449 344 cents. Remember, when it comes to shillings, it is advisable to leave your answer as a whole figure or as a whole number. So we shall have that. Remember, you only write this after you've written this first part. All right. So let's check on another question. Very nice question. Very nice and interesting question. The question read, the price of a piece of land on 1st January 2000 was 2.56 million. In the year 2000, its value appreciated by 9%. The land's appreciation in 2001 was 10%. Thereafter, the rate of appreciation was 8% yearly. Calculate the value of piece of land on 31st December 2006. Guys, I am encouraging you once again. Love English, love mathematics. Any type of a question will come through when you're doing a revision in mathematics. It will always be written in English. So when you don't understand English, there's no way you'll understand mathematics. So those two things goes hand in hand. Hand in hand. You must have mathematics together with English. There is no way you love mathematics and you don't love English. You are doing miracles when it comes to your passing. And I'm being sincere on that. So forget about that. Let's solve the question. So let's analyze the price of a piece of land on 1st January 2000. So let me do it here. So 1st January 2000, 1st January 2000 was 2.56 million. That refers to our principal. So 2.56 million is that. In the year 2000, that very same year, its value appreciated. So it is appreciating. It is appreciating. That is appreciation. Okay. In the year 2000, its value appreciated by 9%. So that very first year, its value appreciated by 9%. Great. The land's appreciation in 2001, that is the second year. The land appreciated by 10%. Thereafter, so what's the meaning of thereafter? Thereafter means that for the rest of the remaining years. So for instance, if you have 5 years, the first year, the land is appreciating by 9%. The second year, the land is appreciating by 10%. Now, for the rest of the remaining 3 years, in each and every year, the land will be appreciating by 8%, if at all that is the rate at which it is appreciating. Or maybe it will appreciate by 20% if the question guides that is the rate it will be appreciating for the rest of the remaining years. Okay, so that's the meaning of thereafter the rate of blah blah blah. You'll find the match more in more questions, but we still have some more questions to do. So just follow up, you'll see. So for the rest of remaining years, so I don't have to write the third year because it is not exactly the third year, but for the rest of the remaining years. So rest of remaining years. The land is appreciating by 8% yearly, each and every year. So we don't know how many years are there, but we are yet to find that. Calculate the value of the piece of land on 31st December 2006. 2006. So guys, we have this. An examiner is trying to give you the number of years in a different way. So examiner wants you to calculate what's the period between 1st January 2000 to 31st December 2006. So just count it manually. Even if you're in an exam room, count it manually as if you are turning out to be a mad person. Just count it manually, like, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have to talk with yourself. You have to interpret the question talking with yourself as if you are teaching someone, as if someone is there sitting beside you, you are teaching him. But also you have to consider time. So let's have it. 1st January 2000, that year is included. That year is included. So I don't know if you can see my finger. So 1st January 2000, that is the first year. 200, first year. 201, 202, 203, 204, 205, 206. That is a total of 7 years, guys. That's a total of 7 years. Why? Because 31st December 2006, that's the end of that year. That's the end of that year. 1st January 2000, that's the beginning or the start of that year. So there's a total of 7 years in between those 2 years. Okay. So having that, let's have our formula applied. The question one, calculate the value. Value the same as amount. So amount equals to principal into 1 plus r over 100. Remember, there was no quarterly or semi-annually thing. So the question very much direct. So what was our principal? 2,560,000 into 1 plus r. What was our rate? All right, so let me condense this question. Let me have it written in so let me start from this point. Amount equals to, what was our principal? 2,560,000 into bracket. Now the first year, the land appreciated by 9%. So we have 1 plus 9 all over 100 power what? Power nothing, because that's the first year. Go back to R1, R2, you will see the formula. Then the second year, we have 1 plus the land appreciated by 10. So that's 10 all over what, guys? 100. Now, for the rest of the remaining year after the second year, the land appreciated by 8% for each year. And we've just done our calculation and find out that we have a total of 7 years. We have a total of 7 years. So taking 7 minus first and second year, what are we remaining with? 5 years. So that means within these 5 years, each and every year, the land is appreciating by 8%, 8%, 8%. All right, so let's have that in our calculator. So 2.56 million into 1 plus 9 all over 100, 1 plus 10 all over 100, 1 plus 8 all over 100, then power 5, power 5. So our answer will be 4,510,000 and 14.372 cents. Remember, the question wants the value or the price. So because we have shillings, this is shilling, And I've said it's advisable to have shillings, to the nearest whole number. So we have that 4,510,014. So that is that. Let's check on more questions, more examples, so that you have the topic mastered very well. Now the question goes, Nanjala invested 560,000 shillings in a bank for 5 years and earned a compound interest of 189,406 shillings. Omedo invested some money in a different bank at the same rate per annum for 3.5 years and earned a compound interest of 142,522. If Nanjala's interest was compounded annually, while Omedo's interest was compounded semi-annually, find the principal amount that Omedo invested. That question seems long. Some student will read the question and just wanaanza tu kuchukia swali and they have no interest of doing the question. Yet the question is very much easy. You will see them, some of them even won't bother to read the whole question. They'll just see the lengthiness of the question, then they start one, oh my god, what are these? Let me go to another question. But in reality, the question is simple. So let's analyze the question, guys. We have two people in this part. We have Nanjala and we have Omedo. We have Nanjala and we have Omedo. So we're being told Nanjala invested 560,000 in Pesa Bank for 5 years. So we have the principal, 560,000 shillings. We have n stroke the number of years to be 5 years. And under compound interest, we have a compound interest. Of what, guys? 189,406. Then let's continue. On the side of Omedo, we are being told Omedo invested some money in a different bank at the same rate per annum. So if Nanjala's interest rate was maybe, let it be X% per annum, then the very same rate is what Omedo is also using, X% per annum. So their rate are the same, all right? For Omedo invested some money in a different bank at the same rate per annum for 3.5 years. So N stroke Y for Omedo, the number of years for Omedo is 3.5 years. And under compound interest, of what? 522,522, guys. If Nanjala's interest was compounded annually, this question is very nice. Very much nice, very amazing. While Omedo's interest was compounded semi-annually. Wow, semi-annually. By the way, if you're a student revising mathematics, doing deep revision in mathematics, you'll be reading such question and you're like, wow, hii ni yangu peke yangu. I'll be the first. But hizo zimepitwa na wakati. Now, coming to principle, we are being asked to get the principal of Omedo. The question asks, find the principal amount that Omedo invested. So they want us to get the the principal for Omedo. So let's use the details of Nanjala to get principal of Omedo. So what can we calculate on the side of Nanjala? Rate. Right. So we can get rate on the side of Nanjala using the same formula. Amount is principal into 1 plus R over 100. Remember, Nanjala's interest has been compounded annually. That means yearly. So yes, it's just the same as 1. So it doesn't affect our rate and the number of years. Things just remain constant because 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, let's continue. So how do we get amount? Okay, remember, we want to get rate. Okay, let's fill out this part. What's our principal? 560,000 into 1 plus. What's our rate? What's our rate, guys? Rate is what you are looking for. That is x all over 100 power n, the number, the period. We had 5 years. Now, you cannot solve to an unknown in a question. You cannot solve to an unknown in a question. You can't go 2 ways and you are one person. You cannot. You can't drive in 2 ways and you have 1 vehicle. And even if you had 2 vehicles, you will drive 1 vehicle at a time. So that means we can get amount. Remember the formula I gave you in those previous videos, that compound interest is given by what? Amount minus principal. That means that amount equals to compound interest plus principal. We have compound interest on this. Remember, these are a calculation for Nanjala. We haven't yet jumped into Omedo side. So compound interest for Nanjala, sorry, we had 189,406. Add it to the principal, which was 560,000. 560,000. Having that, we have 4069. Then that part we have 14415167. So let's substitute back. We'll have something like this: 749,406 equals to 560,000 into 1 plus x all over 100 power 5. So simplify this. Divide that part by 560,000. Divide that part by 560,000. So this cancel this. So take 749,406 divided by 560,000. So we shall have 1.338225 equals to 1 plus x all over 100 power 5. So how do we remove that power thing? How do we remove that power thing? We get the fifth root of the answer. Fifth root. So this fifth root cancels out the power. Then get the fifth root. Get the fifth root of 1.338225. We've done that a lot. So fifth root of that we have 1.05, then 5 9s 08 equals to 1 plus x all over 100. So when 1 crosses the equal sign, it becomes minus. So we have 0.059908 equals to x all over 100. How do I get value x? Multiply both sides by 100, multiply both sides by 100. So having that, we have value x as 5.99908. Remember what was x? X refers to our rate. Now this one can be easily x can be easily rounded to the nearest or approximated. This is the approximation symbol. This one here, that's the approximation symbol. So it can be easily approximated to the nearest whole number because of the recurrence, that recurrence number. So we have 6% per annum. Having that information, we go back to the question on the side of Omedo now, because we only needed the rate of Nanjala to calculate principal for Omedo. All right, guys. So we shall have the formula now on the side of Omedo now. We shall have the formula amount equals to principal into 1 plus R all over 100 power n. But remember, the compound interest of Omedo was compounded semi-annually. So that's a period of 2. So we have, you shall multiply by 2 that part, and also this part you should multiply it by 2. So having that, our formula will look to be something like principal into 1 plus R all over 200 power 2n. So how do I get my amount? Remember, for Omedo did not have amount. Omedo never had amount. How do I get amount? Amount is compound interest plus what, guys? Plus principal. Remember, we had compound interest for Omedo, which was 142,522. So amount for Omedo will be 142,522 plus P. We don't have the principal. So that is what we are looking for. That is what we are looking for. So amount will be represented by this for Omedo. Okay. So we shall have 142,522 plus P equals to now the principal, which we also still don't have, into 1 plus the rate. Now the rate, remember the rate were the same. So 6 all over 200. Where is 200 coming from? Take 2 multiplied by 100. Remember, Omedo's interest was compounded semi-annually. Power 3.5, the period or the duration for Omedo. You multiply by 2. So having that information, we proceed on. So 3.5, taking 3.5 multiplied by 2 is the same as 7. So let's continue. So we shall have 142,522 plus P equals to P into, now let's work out the sum in the bracket. 1 plus 6 all over 200. 1 plus 6 all over 200. That is 1.03 power 7. Power 7. You'll see most of the students starting to mess. They want to get the 7th root. They want to cancel out. They're trying to remove the power. So trying to remove that power thing, you'll see most of them coming with an idea of getting the 7th root. The main reason why we were getting the 7th root is because whatever was in the bracket, in one way or the other, it had an unknown value. It had an unknown value. Like for instance, having 1 plus x all over 200. Let's refer back to this point. Having 1 plus 6 all over 200. For instance, let's assume that we had 1 plus x all over 200. It is only at this part now that you can get the 7th root. But remember, you'll get that 7th root when this other side is a whole figure. A whole figure like what? 142, 522 alone, without any unknown value. Without any unknown value. So don't be that kind of student who confuses a lot. We can get all of this thing. Just press in a calculator and power it up. Because 1.703 power 7, you can get the answer. But you can't get an answer of 1 plus x all over 200 power 7 using a calculator. That one is impossible. How will you get value x? So 1.03 power 7. Now we shall have 142,522 plus p equals to now p. When you power up that, you shall have 1.229873865. The same as having 142,522 plus p equals to 1.229873865 p, because take p multiplied by whatever is inside the bracket. So collecting like terms, we shall have 142,522 equal to 1.229873865p minus p. Then we shall have 142,522 equals to that minus that. We have what, guys? This one just after p, just before p. This one just before p. And that is why it doesn't make sense when it comes to mathematics having something to do with 1x, 1p, 1y. That one doesn't make sense. That one doesn't make sense. Yeah. So we'd rather have just p alone, x alone, y alone. So having that, so this is the same as having 1.222987365 minus 1. Where we shall have 0.229873865p. We want value p. What will be p? What will be principal of Omondi? What will be principal for Omondi? What will be principal for Omondi? 0.229873865. So this will cancel this. Then what will be the principal for Omondi? Having 142,522 divided by the denominator. So Omondi's principal will be 115,883, 4,284 cents. Remember, cash is never left in that format. It's either to the nearest or maybe one decimal place or maybe two. So 115, but I recommend having it to the nearest whole number. So that is that. That is our answer for that question. That's our answer for that question. Let's check on another question. At the start of July 2008, Kibias went to Azina Bank and deposited 540,000 in a fixed deposit account. The bank paid him compound interest on a quarterly basis. At the start of July 2012, his account had 6 188,455 shillings. At what rate per annum was the bank paying interest to Kibias? So guys, after school, go and open a bank. So the number of years that your money will be staying in a bank, the more the rate the bank will be giving offer to you. Like, I mean, your money will be appreciating per year or per month, depending on the bank situation. There's some bank that do appreciate per month, that when you keep your money with them, your money will be appreciating per month. Some have it yearly or annually. So after school, go and open a bank. Your money will be accumulating per year or per month as the time goes on. Okay, let's now analyze the question. At the start, those are the key terms. Start. At the start, at the start of July 2008, Kibias went to Azina Bank and deposited. Now that deposit thing is principal. 540,000. Okay, in a fixed deposit account. The bank paid him compound interest on a quarterly basis. Quarterly basis, guys. Quarterly basis. So, all right, quarterly. That is a quarter. Those are the key terms we are having there. At the start of January 2012, this question is very much interesting. Start. Don't be fond of using a calculator every now and then to subtract, to get the duration, to get the period. You'll be stuck. So we have start of January 2012. Very much interesting. His account had. That is why I told you. Love English and mathematics will be open for you. Nothing will be difficult for you when it comes to reading and understanding questions in mathematics. Tackling the questions is not a problem. The problem is, are you understanding what you want to do? Are you in a position to do that question even though you don't understand the English or the term or the language used in that particular question? Remember the term that will come when you can do the question, but you never understood the language used in the particular question. But that one is very much rare. My friend, love English. Love English, mathematics. Just reading things in mathematics will be easy. So look at, let me read this part. At the start of January 2012, his account had 688,455. That is 688,455. So what is that figure? What is that figure? That is amount. 688,455. At what rate? They want us to get rate. At what rate per annum? So they want us to get rate per annum. Very much interesting. So we'll have the formula amount equals to principal into 1 plus r over 100 power what? Power n. Now we have the principal as 540,000. We have the principal as 540,000 into 1 plus rate. What is our rate? That is what they want us to get. Remember, this thing was compounded quarterly. So we take 4 multiplied by 100. We are having 400. Then power n, the number of years. Sasa hapa kuna kazi. This is the part I was encouraging you guys not to use a calculator every now and then to subtract. You don't have to do these things. Just have them manually. Just count. Talk with yourself as if you are a mad person. No one cares, because at the end, you will be the one benefiting. The marks will be yours. After talking like a mad person in an exam room, the marks will be yours. Now, let's have this. Start of July 2008 to the start of January 2012. Start of January. That means start of January 2012, that year is not included. That year is not included. But start of July 2008, that year has been included in some part. So let's have it manually. So count the number of months remaining for the year 2008 to end. Just have it manually. January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Start counting from July. Start counting from July, not the other month after July. Let's have it afresh. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Those are 6 months. 6 months for that year to end. 6 months for that year to end. I hope you are getting me. I hope you are understanding. All right. So having that, now 2008 has ended. So what's the year after 2008? 2009, 2010, 2011. Those are 3 years. Those are 3 years. Remember, guys, remember, start of January 2012 is not included. So our year will end in 2011, end of 2011. So giving us a total of 3 years together with 1 month, the same as 3.5 years. Okay. So we have 3.5 years multiplied by 4, multiplied by 4, multiplied by 4. Why 4? The quarterly thing. So having this 3.5 multiplied by 4, we have 14. So let's solve this. 540,000 into 1 plus r all over 400 power 14. Did we have our amount? Yes, that one was 68455. 68455. So now let's simplify. Divide by 540,000. Divide by 540,000. So this cancel this. So 688 455 divide by 540, 1, 2, 3. We shall have 1.274916667 equals to 1 plus r all over 400 everything power 14. How do I remove that 14 thing? Get the 14th root of your answer. So 14th root cancel the power 14. So what's the 14th root of the bracket thing of this part? What's the 14th root of that part? So we shall have 1.017499991 equals to 1 plus r all over 400. When 1 crosses the equal sign, we have 0.017499991 equals to r all over 400. If you want to get rate, multiply both sides by 400. Multiply both sides by 400. What is our rate? What is our rate? Very much easy. Very much easy. So take 0.017499991 multiply by 400. So we shall have 6.9999964. Approximated to what, guys? 7% per annum. There is one thing I want to tell you here. You must have in your fingertips. So this is the answer. And we've come to the end of it. We've come to the end of it. That's the end of our chapter. So there's something I want to tell you. You must know the number of days in each and every month. We have a leap year and an leap year. Now, what is a leap year? With the knowledge of primary that I have from my maths teacher, Mr. Kanyanga, if I can remember very well, I was told that a leap year is a year that is divisible by 4. And what is a number that is divisible by 4? A number is divisible by 4 if the last 2 digits are divisible by 4 or the last 2 digits are both 0. So we are in year 2026. Considering 26, the last 2 digits, you will realize that the year 2026 is not a leap year. Why? Because 26 is not divisible by 4. Or am I wrong? Am I wrong? Let's have it. 26 divided by 4, that's 6.5. So that means we are not yet in a leap year. And a leap year is a year that is not divisible by 4. And we've said that a number is divisible by 4 if the last 2 digits are divisible by 4 or the last 2 digits are 0. Now, you'll get some in a leap year because the number of years you will be provided within a question. So you'll get in some years, there's some that will be leap year, there's some that will be unleap year. So like if it is for February has how many days when it comes to leap year, guys? 29 days. The days lengthen when it comes to leap year. But when it is an leap year, like for now, you can check your calendar and confirm with me that the number of days for February is 28. So make sure you have those, because at some given point, there are some questions you'll come across whereby now you will be dealing with the number of days, but now not months. All the questions we've done, we've been dealing with months, just counting the number of months. But there are some questions you'll have to count the number of days. So you must have this. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, now we have this. So you see these parts. You see these parts. I don't know. Hizi zinakaa milima milima. Zinakaa milima milima this. Nimekunja ngumu. So you see this part milima milima. The days. Their days are always to be considered to be 31. Like they do represent some months. Like we have January, February, March, April, May, June. So you'll be counting that way. So at the top, all months at that top part are considered to be 31 days. But zenye ziko kwa that sliding part, for those who are doing geography, you must be having the the knowledge what I'm talking about, this part yenye imeingia ndani. So those are considered, those days are considered to be 30 days. 30 days. Except for February, which is 28 days and leap year and 29 days leap year. So guys, we've come to the end of our revision. When we meet next, let us discover new concept in the subtopic income tax. Make sure you don't miss this part, because this is where we have more marks when it comes to mathematics paper 2 or paper 1. There are more marks in this part. So thank you for today. Make sure you follow up on the next video, income tax. So thank you for watching. Thank you.